This is Casey with Bass Brawl Outdoors, and today we're going to use our Humminbird electronics and break down a lake. I'm going to go through the steps that I do, and hopefully you can use what I show you to help you the next time you're on the water. And the key to this, the VX mapping cards from Humminbird changed the game for breaking down a new lake, because you can color all the different depths and the image just pops. So on our natural lakes, what I do is I'm looking for any points, humps, anything different on the shoreline, and we're just gonna scan past there, and not all areas are gonna look good or be good. What I'm looking for is rocks, weeds, sunfish beds, life, minnows, bait clouds, hard bottom, soft bottom transitions. But we're gonna run some spots, and I'm just gonna show you what I'm finding, and hopefully you can compare it to the lakes you fish and do the same thing. Let's get started. We're coming up to an underwater point that sticks out, and we're gonna simply just drive right over it. I mean, we wanna see what's there. Once we know, we can rescan it if we need to. And right when that green color change shows up, we're coming up on it, and right away there's a line of bluegill beds, weed clump, rocks, sand, life. If you look above the bottom there, underneath the boat, there's fish all over in that water column. And most of those are gonna be your small sunfish and your bait fish. I can tell instantly that is an absolute money spot, because it has more than one key piece there. The more you add to a spot, the better. Okay, let's go to the next spot and just roll over it and see if we can find something good. So right past that first spot we rolled over, there's another little underwater point sticking out. If the first one had rocks, I'm assuming the next one does too. We're gonna look at it and see. Okay, so you can see that mud hard bottom transition. There's a few rocks showing up. There's a cluster of sunfish beds, but you can tell those are not active ones because they're silted in. They're not cupped out. There's some scattered bigger rock. There's a lot of small rock. Now this is definitely a spot that I'm gonna check every time I come to the lake and I'm fishing offshore spots. But right now, it just doesn't have the active sunfish beds and the life off in the water column like that first spot had. So to me, that other spot was number one. This is number two. Let's go check another spot. Okay, we're at spot number 3 to check out. And before we start, I want you to look at my screen there, and I have my side imaging range set up. That's gonna give me my horizontal line so I know how far my side imaging is set. Now that's for the unit that it's set on, so I need to check my right graph and see what it's set at. So I got that set at 75 feet. So I'm gonna set to 80 to match my side imaging on my left side. And then you also see the range rings, and those are for my 360. And if I have my 360 set at 70 feet, then I want rings at 140 and 70. That way when I'm pulling up to a spot, when that first ring, outside ring touches, I just cut the motor, jump up in front, and I'm right close to being in position to seat on my 360. Okay, this point sticks out off the bank. It's not your typical point that sticks out. It's more just a big shelf that comes out. We're gonna kind of ride right up on top of it, not out on the end, because one side of my side imaging will get out to the end and the other one's gonna get up towards the weeds. Okay, there's a lot of small rock, couple big boulders, weed clump, sunfish beds, okay, this looks really similar to spot number 1, and just looking at it, it's guaranteed on my top list here of spots that I'm gonna fish on this lake. Okay, let's actually lay down some waypoints like what I would do. So if there's a weed tuft, I'm gonna touch right on that weed tuft, hit mark twice, and then I usually use these icons and I kind of do it the same on every lake. So I'm gonna use the one that looks kind of like a weed, and I'm gonna use green, because green weeds, that's a weed tuft there. Big boulder. There, I'm gonna use the rock and a red because that's kind of that spot on the spot. Tip of the weed tuft. I'm gonna mark that. Again with another green one. And then bluegill beds. I'm gonna use that same rock one, but I'm gonna use a different color. And now you can see how easy it is when you pull up to a spot. I already know what's there and how I'm gonna approach it. So if I come in from the end there, I know there's bluegill beds. And then if there's 2 green ones, the way I set this up, the outside one's always like a lone tuft of weed. And then if there's a giant boulder, the red one's there. And then I got the next green one for the weeds, and that's where the main tip of the thicker weeds are. So that spot's totally laid out and ready for me to pull up with my 360 and my Mega Live. Okay, so that's 3 spots. Let's pick another one and go roll over it and see what we find. Okay, so we're just coming on a straight edge of contour lines, and there's one little knob that sticks out. So I want to definitely roll over this and just see what's there. Okay, so we come from that soft bottom to that sand transition. There's a few rock. One set of sunfish beds with a 4 or 5 nice bigger rocks spread out around there. I love that because that's an ambush spot for largemouth to lay up against, and then they can just swim into that bedding colony of bluegills, feed, and then go right back and just lay next to the rock again. The only thing that's missing is some weed tufts, but still, it's enough to definitely pull up and fish during the course of your day when you're jumping your offshore spots. Okay, this point here's a little shallower. But when you're breaking down a lake, you need to check everything. And also you need to kind of know what the weed growth grows to. Some of these shallower points are just kind of overrun and won't really hold anything. Okay, so that's not really a spot I'm gonna come back and look at. It's just overrun with the weeds. Now, something like in the morning, top water or something like that maybe, but I'm looking for good spots, like ones that stand out, what you would call the juice, because if you only have so much time during the day, or if you're fishing a tournament, you need to be fishing the key spots. So we're gonna just go to the next one and then just keep adding to our list and see how many good ones we can add. Okay, I want you to look at the contour lines on the map. We're scanning where nothing really looks out of place on the contour lines. But if you look on my map and on my side imaging, there's a hard bottom little strip. You know, that's a sneaky spot there because on the contour lines there's nothing there. But there's a hard bottom strip with a big boulder and some scattered rock. And it's hard bottom surrounded by soft bottom. That's definitely a spot you're gonna wanna just pull in and check. And if you do it a few times and there's never anything on it, you can probably bypass it. But that's one that most guys aren't gonna see because the contour lines are just straight and there's nothing there. Next spot, small little offshore hump, and I'm just gonna roll over one end of it and then we'll turn and hit the other one and see what we find here. As we're coming up to it, I see a lot of clouds of bait fish in the water column. Okay, there's that soft bottom, hard bottom transition. And it comes up from 20 some feet. And we're already up to 15 and we're just kind of rolling over it slowly here. Right side, not much going on. Left side, beautiful. You got a line of bigger rock, a couple big rocks mixed off of the edge, and on the very tip of it, it kind of drops off and then turns into just sand. On the right side, you can actually see some shadows, and I'm guessing that's suspended sunfish leaving the shadows there. Definitely a spot that I'm gonna throw my jig, drop shot, Ned, see if it's holding fish. It's only going to take 2 to 5 minutes to fish a spot like this if you tie in your Mega 360 or Mega Live, because you're going to pull up and put your main cast right on the heart of that structure and cover, and you're going to know. Okay, I spun around and we're going to hit the other side of that hump and make sure we're not missing anything over there. Again, that side imaging range is really helpful because I know when I'm pulling up to it, I'm basically hitting that thing in 2 passes. Okay, so there's that transition again. Couple rocks, a lot of sand. And that's about it. You go from seeing that whole offshore hump, and that could take a lot of time to fish. But what I saw making those 2 passes and covering the whole thing, there's one key little area, and it's probably about 50 to 75 feet long. You can hit that real quick with your electronics, make those important casts right on the heart of it, and then the fish are either there or they're not, and you move to the next spot. You're not wasting time. If you look at the contour map, again, there's just kind of a straight edge, but there's one little shelf that sticks out here. We're gonna hit the corner of it and spot check it. You can see how I'm doing that. I'm heading up onto it just a little bit so my side imaging hits up on top of it and out off the end of it. Okay, right away there's some beds, a little bit of rock, and that rock extends out a little deeper, weed tufts, okay, instantly I can tell this is a spot you're going to add to the rotation. And what I really like about it, it's not huge where it could hold a giant school of fish, but it lets you fish the heart of the structure and cover in about 3 to 5 minutes. And there could easily be one giant fish on that spot or 2 to 3 nice fish, but you're not wasting time. Now on the end of it, there's a couple big boulders and then one giant boulder. Okay, so that's definitely a spot that's going to be added to the rotation on this lake. Okay, here's a long extended point that comes out into the lake. And there can be stuff way up on top of that shelf, especially when that 15 feet of water runs up there a ways. But we're hitting out on the end of it right away to hit the main part of it and see if it's got potential. Okay, you can see that transition, little cluster of rocks, some silted in bluegill beds. So not much activity out on the end of it. So what we're gonna do is spin around and make a shallower pass and then see what we have there. Okay, so we spun around and we're gonna go up onto that shelf a little further. Okay, that paid off big time. Cluster of nice sized rock, a couple big boulders, a ton of fresh bluegill beds, and they're cupped out, so I know they're active. Weed tufts, another group of sunfish beds, and another set of weed tufts on the other side of those beds. This is a home run spot right here. This might have just got moved into the top spot I'm gonna fish on this lake. Since we found that good a cover on that structure, we're gonna even go further up onto this shelf. It might get too shallow and weedy, but based off what we just found, it's worth making another pass. Okay, so it's pretty weed choked. I see a couple rocks hiding in the weeds. And then there's that sunfish colony we saw in the last pass. Okay, now that's good because that's a killer looking spot and it's in one area on that big piece of structure. You're gonna save yourself from wasting a bunch of time fishing that whole piece of structure and just key in that one area. And really, when we made that pass, we were 80 feet on each side of the boat and it was good from one end to the other. So you only have to focus on 160 feet of the good stuff. Okay, we've been scanning a ways and haven't seen hardly anything. We're gonna keep going. There's just a little bit of jaggedness on the contours here. Now it might be enough to have something show up. Okay, so there's a transition. Okay, there's a line of rock, weed tufts on the right. Now that sand's starting to come back towards the shore. The rocks keep following the weed tuft on the right side. The only thing that spot's missing are bluegill beds, but with those weed tufts and the size of the rocks and how they're shaped and spaced out, that is definitely a spot to pull up to and try on my rotation. We just got done scanning out this lake and going over all the spots on the VX card that look good. And there's a lot of spots that don't have good structure and cover, but man, those top 5-6 spots we found, rocks, mud to hard bottom transition, bluegill beds, weed clumps, gravel. It didn't take long to find out which spots were probably gonna be the main players when I come and fish this lake. There's at least 3 I can think of that absolutely check all the boxes, and you couldn't draw them any more perfect. Hopefully these scanning tips help you on your own lake to break it down and find the key spots and the cover on the structure that'll put a lot of fish in your boat. I'd like to thank Humminbird for making great products that help me break these lakes down super fast. If you like my content, please hit that subscribe button, the like button. Help me out. And if you have any suggestions or comments, just leave them at the bottom here, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Until next time, good luck on the water.